I don't know where to look. Like, where do you look?
Oh, we're going to talk to each other. Good morning and welcome to the USA Cares podcast. This is a exciting day today. We always try to give you a good episode to tell you a little bit more about what's going on in our world, but today is something a little different, a little something new. So I'm your host, Matt Castor. I'm glad to be with you guys again. It's been a few weeks since I've been able to be on this, so I'm excited to be back. But we have some amazing guests today. And normally Trace is here with me as well. He's not able to make it today. So I have a new partner with me today, Miss Alexis Becker. Good morning, Alexis.
Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good. Welcome to the team.
Thank you.
So Alexis is joining USA Cares as the communications and marketing manager. And this is day 3.
Yes. Day 3.
Yeah. And you're still here.
I am.
So that's good. You keep coming back to work. That's always a good sign. But we are really excited. You have a big job ahead of you. You ready for this?
Keep telling me.
Yeah.
Do you still want me to come back?
I do. Because otherwise I have to do it myself. So, but your job is really going to help us expand our message and our brand across the country.
Yeah, that's what I like to do.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, good. So, you've done some nonprofit work in the past. Tell me a little bit about your background and what got you to this point where you're working with USA Cares.
Sure. Well, I moved to Louisville from good old Atlanta, Georgia.
There you go.
Almost 11 years ago, because my husband made me move.
And have you been holding it against him ever since?
Till the day I die.
Every time it snows, every time. Yeah. Good.
Anytime anything goes wrong.
He's guilty.
Like, you did this. Right. But yeah, my background is in public relations. I got a degree in PR from Georgia Southern University.
Yeah.
Go Eagles. So I've started out in nonprofit and have gone dipped back into corporate, nonprofit, corporate, just back and forth. Started in a marketing department and then kind of spun off into event management, event planning, and did that for a very long time. And somehow I then spun off in a different direction into event sales, which is less of the planning and management, but more of the selling for venues and facility management of event venues. And then I broke into hospitality sales, and then I was COVID retired for about 15 months. And
nice. Got to hang out with the kiddos.
I did. I've got two wonderful little babies at home. They're 6 and 9.
Awesome.
And they're awesome. My husband's at home too with them right now. So,
and one of them is quite the baseball player.
He is. He's going to be in the big league someday. So,
nice.
Miles Becker. Remember that name?
I remember that name.
Yeah, we're playing in the championship for the rookie baseball tonight. So
that's tonight.
If it doesn't rain.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So
well, good.
Well,
we are so honored to have you.
Well, thank you.
Really excited, and I know you're really excited to be on the podcast today.
Yeah, so excited.
I had to drag you in here, but that's okay. You're going to have fun today.
I like doing new things, so this is where you grow, right?
That's right. That's right. You're stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
So that's awesome. So we are joined today by a really special guest, all the way live from Austin, Texas, Miss Kimberly Jeane. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. How are y'all?
Great.
Good.
Thank you so much for getting up early and joining us.
Another day in this life. I don't mind getting up early for a great cause like USA.
So, Kimberly, you and I got to know each other a couple months ago, right? At our event in Austin, and got to meet you and got to meet your daughter and learn a little bit more about you, and really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to be able to talk to you again.
Thank you. I'm excited too, and thank you for having me on. I know that you all have kicked off this podcast, and I'm excited to continue to see where it's going and go back and hear all the guests that you've had previously too.
Yeah,
so thank you for having me.
Yeah, we've had Megan Gould on from the Washington D.C. chapter, and we had Rayanne on a couple weeks ago, I think. So yeah, you've got you're following a line of proud guests. So
fantastic.
So I met you. One of the things that struck me about you, and I met you at this event, and I got to know you, and I see somebody who's very accomplished, very intelligent, very polished, and I'm thinking she's probably never known a struggle in her whole life. And then you shared your story, and I was absolutely blown away. And so I was like, oh, you're going to have to be on the podcast. So if you would just share a little bit about you. And I know you are a veteran. I know that you are currently with Tesla in Texas. But tell us a little bit about kind of who you are and what you've done.
Well, Matt, to start with, those three words you used to describe me are a shocker to me: accomplished and polished. Those two definitely would not say are the two to describe myself if anybody were to ask.
So if I asked your friends right now, if they were in the room and I said, how would you describe her? They wouldn't use those adjectives?
I don't think so. I mean, but I've never asked them that question. So
you might have to now.
You're right. But thank you for having me here. So about me, I know that it's shocking when I actually do tell my story, and it's not one that's been easy to share, but it's become easier over the past, I'm going to count this and date myself, 14 years that, it accumulated over the past 14 years, but definitely started at a younger age when I was a lot more vertically challenged than what I am now.
What, 6'2", 6'3"? Is that right, Kimberly?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
6'3" on a good day.
A bit of 5'1", 5'2".
I'm right there at 5'2.5", and it's very.
Don't forget that.
It's super important.
Yeah.
I'd like to just say I'm average. I'm just like everybody else, except I've had the experiences to propel me forward in life, and one, I've had the opportunity to learn from them and grow from them. And I know that not everybody has that. So when I look at my background to date, I look at it as a story, a journey, a culmination of chapters that have come together, whether wantingly or not, to make me who I am today, and to help me get, not to help me get, but that has built the passion and the vision that I see going forward, either for myself, for the places I work, and for the volunteering that I do for any organization in the past and in the future.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell me about your military background. So what drew you into the military? What was your career like? What all did you do?
Okay, so I was 17 and I wanted to join, and my dad said, "Nope."
17. Wow.
Right, 17. Where I was old enough to say I wanted to join, but I think I was about 6. I was so young. We hit 9/11, and I was in 7th grade. I knew it probably around the 3rd grade when I drew this picture in school, in class one day, of an airplane and a girl in a uniform, and I was like, I'm gonna fly planes one day. And it was an army jet, and come to find out later I could have, but I was told that I was too short to do that when I joined. It was something that sat in my heart for as long as I can remember, since I started building memories. 17 hit, I wanted to join. My dad said, "Nope, you're gonna make that decision. You do it on your own."
He's not fighting for you, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Nope.
At 18, I joined, and I left the summer of 07, joined the military. I had a lot of medical opportunities, ended up joining the MI community as a 35 Mike, which is, in a nutshell, sourcing and interrogations. That's it. I went to basic training.
That's why you intimidate me so much. Right there, you're an interrogator. All right.
And I spent, basic training, went to training school in Fort Huachuca, Arizona. Quite an experience there.
Wow.
Since then, stationed in Fort Hood, I got out, joined the National Guard. Somehow managed to weasel my way into language school out in DLI. Being able to spend a year in the Presidio, so Monterey, California, came back to Texas, and I've been in Texas in and around now the military career, the whole 10 years.
That's awesome. So what would you say to somebody who's thinking about, oh, I'd love to be in the military, but I'm not really big. I'm not really muscle. I'm not really strong. Like, what would you say?
I'd say it's like a muscle. You got to build up the tolerance
You
for
got
it.
to
And
build
one
it up,
day,
right? Yeah.
right.
Yeah. But yeah, you accomplished a lot, and that's awesome. So then you go through your military career. You enjoyed it, right? You
Did.
liked every bit of it, and then you come out, and what happens?
Well, I actually was pulled out. I was kind of plucked out of the weeds, and
Mm,
lucky me, I had a LinkedIn account. I was reached out to by a sorcerer recruiter at Google, and I took a leap of faith, and I jumped. I took a risk, a huge risk, knowing that going from a steady paycheck to the military to the civilian world is
yeah.
not easy. Not everybody does it. And I had zero clue what I was doing. I said, okay, I'll humor you. I'll give you that
Right.
interview. Um, and I got
Yeah.
an offer, and I said, okay, well, here we go. Here's the next chapter.
Well, so from Google to Tesla, those are pretty, I mean, hefty companies. That is
Yeah. Was there another one in between too?
Facebook, right?
Correct. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not too shabby either.
No.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
No, not at all.
That's awesome.
So do you get to do a lot of interrogation in these jobs as a technical
Yeah. How do
recruiter?
you use those skills?
No, I don't. And I'd say my skills are more relevant and transferable in a sense of I learned how to ask a lot of follow-up questions, and I think that it's pretty critical in the role that I'm doing now, which is in the recruiting side of things,
Mhm.
to understand a person's skills, assets, their, from a tangible and intangible perspective, and being able to assess them for the fit or the role that is open, and it helps me either one sit them in that or pivot them into something else that I know in the back of my mind is also open.
See, that's why I was impressed with you. That's what I'm talking about. So, okay, so you come out of the military, you're working for Google. Life is smooth sailing, right? No issues.
Oh,
No bumps in the
oh,
road.
oh, there's always bumps in the road. If it's just the size.
That's right. That's right. But you shared a story, and I hope I'm okay to talk about this. You shared a story in Texas about you and your daughter and some hardships that you had to overcome. And do you mind sharing that? Is that okay for me to ask you to
Yeah,
share that?
it sure is. This would be probably one of the biggest platforms that I've shared on with this story. And
Okay.
thank you for allowing me to share it. And
Yeah,
anybody
I
who's
hope I'm
listening,
not asking too much, but
not at all, not at
okay.
all.
Okay.
And to those listening, it has not been an easy road to get to the point where I could share openly and joyously,
Mhm.
considering the pain that hardships cause. So there's the story that you're referring to, Matt, is in my early career in the military, in the Army in Fort Hood. Although it is the great place in Texas, I do say so myself, and my own experiences, it was not so great for me.
Yeah.
I In that short period of time, I went through a domestic violence issue. Um, Although I could have left and run away from that hardship I knew I was about to endure, I did not. I stayed. I weathered it out. Um, Ended up making my way into Central Texas, Austin. But during that
Mhm.
time, I was living out of my car with my daughter, which was at the time I couldn't share it because I probably would have been in a great deal of legal trouble and lost
Yeah.
custody.
Yeah.
I was struggling. I was, just joined the National Guard, hitting my weekends a month. I was probably a specialist at the time, so an
Mhm.
E4,
Mhm.
and I'm, working. I was working at it's called Gem X, and that you will not see on my resume or LinkedIn, but
You didn't brag about that one, huh?
I did not, and
Yeah.
those are the details that are part of the chapters that got to me where I am today. Is I was struggling making $900 every 2 weeks, if that. I think
Yeah.
my one of my checks was maybe $602, and I was thinking, how am I going to feed myself
Yeah.
and little this little child, this human, and I can't keep plants alive.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know what you
And
mean.
so
Yeah.
that I think that's the struggle you're referring to, is going from living out of my car and jumping from house to house. And I do think the friends, if you do end up watching this show, and listening to this podcast. I thank you for the couch that you let me stay on and the room that you've given me in those times that I needed a place to stay.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I hear stories of veterans every day who call in to us, and they're going through similar situations. They don't share them openly. They don't like to talk about it. They don't want people to know, and that they're living in a hotel or they're living in the backseat of their car, that they don't know how they're going to feed their kids today. And they're calling us finally saying, I'm at the end of my rope. I got nothing left. I have no way to make more money. I have no way to provide for my children. And if somebody doesn't help me, I'm going to have to make some drastic decisions. And so when I heard your story, it was like, people need to hear this. People need to know it's not a doom and gloom story. It's not what you and I talked about the other day. It's not the sad puppy on TV, right? It's a success story. It's a victory. And that's what I love about that. And I met your daughter, and what a remarkable young lady she is. And,
Thank you.
There's so many good things that can come out of this. And I hope that veterans listening, that are going through a difficult time can hear this and say, I can make it too. I can make it through this. This won't last forever. And you being brave enough to share your story really, really does help.
Yeah. And you said it, those words, it won't last forever. I think if there's anything taken out of this podcast today, is that it does not last forever. And just a small light at the end, even if it's the tiniest and most bleak light, there is one, and it doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
I urge and encourage anybody listening that's going through a hard time, just weather through it, one step in front of the other.
Yeah. And you didn't have that. You didn't have that service to turn to, right? You didn't have that partner to reach out to.
Right. And I think I shared too that day that we met and I shared my story. Had I known about an organization like USA Cares, I could have done something different. I would probably have started off a bit early in my career. I mean, who knows where I would be today? I may not be here speaking with you today, Matt. And there was no services that I was aware of. There was no way I could know. The internet wasn't what it is today.
Right.
I think Facebook was just coming online, and Instagram wasn't a thought. It might have been in somebody else's mind. These platforms just weren't as easily accessible then.
We weren't on MySpace then.
I don't think I even had a MySpace account, but yeah. Well, it's amazing. And I want people to hear those stories of hope. And I want us to be able to share those and know that, one, because I think there's this misconception with so many people that are going through hardships that they're the only ones and they don't hear the stories of others. And so I want this podcast to be that platform where people can relate to each other and realize that they're one of many. And there's a lot of people who understand exactly what they're going through. So, thank you for that. So you come through, you're with Tesla now. And if you're giving any away, I'd love to have one, by the way.
Obsessed. Every time we walk around, they're like, Tesla.
Yeah.
I'll let you know if there's ever that opportunity.
If there's an extra one sitting around somewhere. But then we're so honored that you have joined our board of directors.
Yes, thank you. It is it's not even a pleasure. It's an honor. It's a privilege to be here and to serve as a board member for USA Cares.
We've got a lot of stuff coming up that you're going to be able to be a big part of. So we've got coming up on, I'm going to do a couple plugs here. Coming up on July 19th. Thank you. I almost said the wrong date. Coming up on July 19th, we've got our golf outing in Valhalla, which is selling out extremely quickly, which we're very excited about. And then coming up on August 7th, Kimberly, I hope you can join us for our gala here in Louisville.
I will be there.
Yay! That's awesome. So this is going to be the first time that we're going to be streaming this gala live as well to all of our chapters around the country, so that they're all going to be watching at the same time as well. So your Texas chapter will be watching, and the DC chapter, and the Colorado chapter, and I didn't think about the time change issue with California, but hopefully they'll be on as well. But it's going to be a great night, a very elegant military presentation that James Tongate is working on putting together for us. And just a really honorable, respectful evening talking about veterans and how much we appreciate them, and how we can come together to help those who are struggling. So it'll be a great time. Mm-hmm. And you get to be a part of that for
I'm
the first
excited.
time. Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
I saw it because it's at the Marriott.
Yeah.
Before I was retired.
That's true.
And it looked beautiful. I mean, I think cool. I was brand new there when it
I've never seen it, so you've seen more of it than I have.
It's going to be great.
It'll be good. So, but I'm looking forward to those. I'm looking forward to having you all in town for that. So yeah. Kimberly, anything else that we should know about you, or that you wanted to make sure you mentioned today?
Like there's, I swear I could talk for days, even though
please do.
I'm not a talker, but
we got to fill time on this podcast, so that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I said to you, if you have questions, I set the morning for you. I'm here to share and help others is, one, my main goal. And two, I'm just so proud to see all of the members at USA Cares. Matt, I know you have recently joined us as well. And we are thankful for your time too. I think as I speak for myself, and I hope other board members, and to say that we're excited to see where USA Cares is going. Yeah. From my perspective, there's a long road ahead, but there always is in a form or shape when it comes to helping veterans. One, save lives, and two, change their lives, for good, or at least momentarily, so we can give them that blink of hope and that small, pinpoint of a light at the end of the tunnel. So Matt, I know you have a lot to do with that, and keep up the good work. I think that what is happening goes to show in every aspect. In my perspective, I think that the podcast is amazing. I'm excited to see how we can engage the younger community, and how we can really bring in more, youth and energy to a cause that sometimes seems down and sad and daunting. And it doesn't have to be that. It can also be exciting to help somebody else, especially when we look internally.
Yeah. This is a positive thing, right? And I always tell people that. Alexis is sick of me saying that over the last days, but this is a good thing. This is a positive thing. It's not a sad thing. And it's if I know anything about, I'm not a veteran, but if I know anything about veterans, they do not want to be pitied. They do not want your sympathy, right? And
right.
So let's celebrate them. Let's celebrate the fact that they've served our country. So I have to ask you, one of my favorite questions the other day, but a few weeks back, I was talking to Megan, and I asked her, what's your favorite memory from the military? And she told me about being a part of the parachute team and parachuting into the stadium, to end her time with the military academy. So let me ask you, put you on the spot, because I didn't prep you for this at all.
Okay.
What's your favorite memory from your time serving in the military?
If I had to narrow them down,
a really good interrogation story where you made somebody cry, and
I think I can handle it, man. You can interrogate me here. My favorite memory. Wow. I'd say that if I narrowed it down to a broader cause, I would say it was when I was helping a soldier, whether it be my soldier or another soldier. But I think not only was there one time where I stood up for a soldier going through a pivotal change, and I'm going to say it in this format and let the guests assume further that are listening, his and her changes in their personal lives and what was happening politically in the military standards and what was being accepted and not accepted. That one stands out. But the one that stands out the most to me was I had a soldier come to me, and he back then he would come and stand at parade brass, hands behind his back, and ask questions. And this is when I was stationed in Seguin, Texas, as a training manager with training NCO. And he said, "Hey, Sergeant Kelly, can I talk to you for a minute?" I'm like, "Oh, shoot. What? Okay. Do you need to bring a battle? Do you need to bring a battle buddy in here?
Yeah.
Is there? Do we need to have?
Yeah.
Do I need to have a female battle buddy, and so you can make sure that we're not crossing any lines here? What's not to be said?" And no, he said no. It's fine. Left the door open to talk. and he said, "Hey, I'm struggling personally in my life. I can't get a job. My mom is an addict. My mom
Mm.
is honestly, she's a pretty crappy mom, and I
Yeah.
don't know what to do. Sometimes I wish she was dead." And I was like, "Whew, this is a heavy load.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you take my chevrons off. Let me just go into help you as a human being, because behind the rank and behind the uniform, we're still humans. We still
Right.
have human experiences.
Yeah.
They're not just these mean green fight machines."
Right.
And so I don't remember the conversation with him. I just remember him sharing a story. And years later, I synced back up with him, and he said, "Hey, I just want to say thank you for sharing it and giving me the advice you did that day." And I was like, "What did I tell you?"
I don't even remember what I said.
I don't
Yeah.
remember.
That's great.
And I said, "Well, is everything okay?" He goes, "Well, my mom passed away."
Mm.
And I was like, "I'm, terribly sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to go through in life." But he said, "I remember you telling me to find a way to make amends and to look for the good in her."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wow," I said that. I was like, "Well, I'm glad that you took my advice and that you made it work with her, and you made a friendship, and you found a way to create a relationship that probably didn't exist over the most recent years in y'all's lives together."
Yeah.
Um, and so he was able to cope and change his own point of view in life and his own coping mechanisms and hardships with others and relationships, and one especially with his mother. And after she passed, he went off and did some great things in both his civilian and personal life, and in the military deployed, but was able to cope as a stronger person and stronger soldier and share that. And I think that's
Mhm.
it's one of the things that'll always stick with me, is that I helped somebody, and I don't
Yeah.
remember what I said, but I
Yeah.
said enough to help him change his life and his perspective of his relationship with the military and his mom before her passing.
That's amazing. I mean, that's the reach you hope you have, right? In that
Right.
type of position. And I mean, that's a life change, and probably a huge weight lifted off of his shoulders for the rest of his life,
Yep.
knowing that he's been able to come to terms with that. So good for you.
Yep.
That's amazing. That's incredible. Um, so that's why you're on our board. See, that's incredible. But thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being a part of this. And this is truly, in my short time with USA Cares, this has been a movement of people around the country, like you, who are brave enough to share their stories and um, and encourage others to kind of do the same thing. And I hope we can keep building this network. And if anybody's listening in an area, we do have chapters around the country. We have chapters in Cincinnati, Washington, D.C., Austin, Texas, San Diego, California, coming soon to Denver, Colorado, and
Right.
and Southern Illinois, Missouri. If you're in any of those areas, great. Get involved with the chapters. If you're not in one of those areas, which most likely you're not, then let's get one started and contact us today and say, I want to help veterans in my community, and reach out to Allison Hedges, Allison, Alison, at usacares.org, and reach out to her today and say, I want to get going. I want to get a chapter started in my area. Just like Kimberly, you did with Gary, and with Gary Whidden, and with Ray Ann Pay, and
Right.
many others. And
Mhm.
so we need to get more groups. We need more reach across the country to be able to have more of an impact on more veterans.
Exactly. Exactly. And look out, Texas. We're starting to think about what's happening next in our next
Yes.
event. And so if you're listening and you just want to take a road trip or take the family somewhere, keep an eye out. We're going to be posting about it soon and sharing more details. But hey, why not visit the music capital of the world outside
There
of
we go.
Nashville?
Outside of Nashville. Just yesterday in Louisville, they announced direct flights now from Louisville to Austin, which
That's
hasn't
it.
happened before. So yeah, maybe I'll have to come back and hang out with you guys again. It was
You
pretty fun
absolutely
last
have
year. You set the bar pretty high. Just saying.
to.
The Bullets barbecue and bourbon is a little hard to top. So I can't wait to see what you come up with next. But it's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
So, Kimberly, thank you so much for being on today, and we're gonna do this again. I'm gonna
Okay.
talk you into doing this again sometime.
All
But
right. You twist the my leg. Wait, you twisted my arm. You don't have to twist my arm.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. It's really been an honor.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor as well. Thank you all, and have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thanks.
You too.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. So, Alexis, thanks for being on.
Thanks.
This was
for having
fun.
me.
Yeah, it wasn't too terrifying, right?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
All right. So check us out at usacares.org. Learn more about our organization. Learn how you can be a part of it. Check out our chapters tab. Learn where there's chapters across the country. Get involved today. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore. Decide that you want to make a difference in a veteran's life and get involved today. We thank you all so much for tuning in. Tune in next week, and we'll have another very special guest and share with you a few more of the stories of what's going on in the veteran world. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye, everybody.